Thank you for listening. A list of content warnings can be found in the episode description. Take care. Enjoy the show. Planescape Torment, the Unofficial audio series. A narrative let's play adapted and produced by RevocerGM. Combining in-game audio with additional voice acting through dialogue and descriptions to improve your listening experience. Rediscover the amazing story of the 1999 cult classic isometric video game, Planescape Torment, like you've never heard before. The man blearily looks up, reeking of piss and stale booze, his eyes glazed and unfocused. After a moment to comprehend what he sees before him, his mouth drops open.
What?
You throw your hand forward, casting a streak of darkness towards him. Knotted black briars unfurl from your palm, wreathing around the Chaos Man's head, twisting into a crown. His eyes begin to glow purple with malice, and his chest heaves with seething breath. You think he is about to pounce at you. Just then, another of the starved dogs steps behind him, placing a hand upon his shoulder. In a sudden fury, he draws his dagger and drives it into the neck of his comrade, who slumps lifelessly to the ground. The hall erupts into chaos. The wild man, grinning maniacally, leaps into the fray, his brethren scrambling to restrain him. You turn as the man gagging beside the door staggers to his feet, wiping his brow. From the shadows, Anna reaches out, gripping her hand about his mouth, then pulls a bloody dagger from his back.
Come on!
With madness filling the room, you dash for the exit, pushing through the doorway, and emerge out into the cool civil air. The sounds of hoots and howls behind you.
Well, that could have gone worse.
Aye, not bad. Well, we shouldn't hang about, mind. They may get bored of gutting each other and start looking for a scrap out here.
You hear the door open and close, and Sybil steps out of the tenement, a light spattering of blood upon her cheek.
I must say, Cutter, I'm rather impressed. I thought for sure those animals would chew you up. Well, I guess I should thank you.
She pauses for a moment, then reaches into her pouch and pulls forth a small green gemstone.
Here. This one's on the dogs. I'll see you around, Cutter.
Farewell, Sybil.
Anna.
There is a palpable tension in the air as she walks away.
Stop staring at me tail, you skull! I'm not.
Anna strides off without a word.
I wasn't. I swear. I swear.
The alley around you is a mismatch of buildings, all crammed into each other like toy blocks. Walls jut out at odd angles, no corner square to another. Razorvine chokes about every brick and beam, and the whole place seems to groan under a strained torsion. Beneath the bleary orange light of the evening sky, it even looks to shift and yawn, as though breathing.
What is this place, Anna? It's like nowhere I've seen in the Hive.
A strange place it is. Not many Burks will come here.
Why? Strange in what way?
Some Burks with less courage than names say it's all haunted. It is.
Anna spits and makes a semicircle over her heart.
It's wash. Sometimes the wind blows through the alley and makes weird sighing noises, but that don't mean there's spectres and haunts and the like.
Looking around, you almost get the sense this alley has been sealed off, though you cannot decide if from within or without. A massive gateway looms at one end that looks to have rusted completely shut. Sinews of iron weave through mortar like roots or veins, and the claw-like spires of the rooftops curl and clasp as if closing about something precious or caging something within. As the four of you poke around the odd crevices, a strange rumbling emanates from one of the structures. You look to its entrance and see a shadowy recess that descends for a few feet before ending abruptly in a solid rock face.
Come on, it's just this way.
Anna calls from further down the alley.
One moment.
As you turn back to the wall, the shadows of the alcove swirl in your vision, and you see what you had thought was just a wall is in fact a battered and moss-covered doorway. You descend the crumbling steps and duck inside. Immediately, the stench of decay fills your nostrils. A body lies decomposing in the center of this small stone chamber. From the looks of its rigid, unnatural posture, extreme rigor mortis has long since set in. It's a Dabus, one of the floating servants of the Lady of Pain. The only recent interaction you've had with one of their kind is with the tattooist, Fel, but you have seen a number of them working about the hive. Its once greenish skin, now mortified into a pale stony grey, has tightened close about its elongated features. Aside from the corpse, this chamber is almost empty. A few dusty, beaten drawers and a broken bed. Once a hiver's hovel, perhaps. You approach the corpse, and as you reach out, a sudden shock passes through your body, and there is a stirring in the air like a wind has found its way into the building and is fighting to get free. You feel a strange, wrenching pain in your skull, as if someone is hammering on it, sharply, desperately. You try and maintain your focus, but your vision goes black for a moment, and the hammering pain fades until it sounds like it is coming from outside your skull. The darkness clears, and you now hear the hammering coming from outside the building. The entire building seems hazy somehow, confused, as if you were seeing it through a mist. The hammering dies, and the spectral form of a Dabus enters the building. As it does, the windows and the doors become like water, suddenly sealing over the entrance, turning to a wall of solid stone. The Dabus turns, pauses, and then begins a slow circuit of the room, examining the walls and hammering on each one once, as if testing it. The Dabus completes its circuit of the room, then pauses by the door it once entered. It begins hammering, chipping away the stone. But with every blow, the wall repairs itself. The vision fades, but the hammering continues, first at a steady pace, then slower, and slower, and stops. You come to your senses as the hammering ends, and you are once again standing beside the corpse of the Dabus. It looks as if it has withered away here, trapped in the building. Back in the alley, Mort, Dakon, and Anna are waiting for you.
You okay, Chief? You look like you've seen a ghost.
Yeah. Wait, do you hear that?
Oh, yeah, it's just one of the Dabus. Pay him no mind.
You walk off in its direction.
Chief? You always like this? Sometimes worse.
You see a Dabus, this one alive, of course. It is dressed in long flowing robes and is floating slightly above the ground as it goes about hammering nails into planks on the side of another building.
Greetings.
It turns to face you, and a series of symbols appear around its head. They have a slight glow about them as they hover there, and it takes you just a moment to translate them as a simple inquiry to what you want. You're not entirely sure why you have chosen to speak to it.
I just thought you should know that I discovered the body of a Dabus in this alley.
The Dabus cocks its head slightly to one side. A number of symbols stream above its head, most of which indicate surprise and distress rather than words. And then you see two symbols, translating to dead and where.
It lies in an abandoned building not far from here. It looks as though it got trapped inside somehow.
The Dabus stares at you briefly, then bows slightly and simply floats off in the direction of the abandoned building.
Farewell.
Rejoining the others, Anna leads you to a large wooden gateway. It looks to be falling apart with rot. It opens onto a set of old steps descending into a clearing. Anna walks into the center of a muddy patch and points to the ground.
This is the place. I found you lying right where I stand.
The buildings encircling you here look ancient, but nothing jogs your memory. You step forward and inspect the ground, unsure what you would even look for. There are no outstanding footprints, a few puddles here and there from recent rain. Perhaps they were washed away. Just as you begin to feel like giving up on this place, an odd rumbling like you'd heard before shakes about the enclosure, and all four of you stare in awe at the bizarre spectacle before you. What had appeared to be an ordinary, unremarkable bricked wall now throbs and pulsates with movement. The wall expands with curious elasticity, heaving outward as if some unseen force were trying to push its way through the barrier from the other side. Slowly, the undulating mass begins to settle, its curves becoming more and more pronounced, and you find yourself at eye level with the stony caricature of a human face.
Whoa, what is that?
I don't even know.
Anna stares at the face in disbelief, her hands nervously fingering her daggers.
But I'm for leaving before we find out.
Not just yet. There is something...
Suddenly, a strong breeze begins to blow around you, and the air is filled with an eerie sighing. The rushing wind grows stronger, and you can make out other sounds as well. The creaking of boards, the rustling of leaves, and the grinding of stone upon stone. After a few moments, the clamor ceases to be a cacophony of individual noises and begins to blend into one articulate sound. You can make out a voice that speaks softly, yet seems to come from all around you at once.
You. It cannot be you.
What? Do you know me?
You are restored again. I saw you destroyed.
What are you?
I am I.
Who are you?
I am I.
What is this? Where are we?
You stand on me, in me, the stones, mortar, the air, all me, undivided.
You said you saw me destroyed. Where?
I saw you destroyed here, in front of me. I see all within me.
Do you know what happened to me?
Things that cast no shadow were shadow. They rose around you, tore you down. Do you not remember?
You concentrate on the strange voice composed of sounds around you. Somewhere, in the deepest recesses of your mind, there is a brief glimmer of recollection. You feel as though there is something vaguely familiar about the sounds. You look about the place, and the evening shadows begin to swell and grow. Swirls of darkness form into figures about you. You remember something. It's your body, but a different life somehow. As the darkness draws in, tendrils reach out, arms, claws, lashing whips of shadow clutching at your lungs. They pass through your skin and strike something deep within.
Yes, you remember. Destroyed. As soon I shall be. I cannot delay division much longer. Pressure builds. Soon, stones will crumble and the floating ones will repair me to destruction.
You're dying.
Pressure is too much. Too many places folded inside. Not enough space. Must divide.
Divide?
Oh? It must be in the way?
What are you talking about?
I think it's pregnant.
Oh,
Oh, freaky. So where are we technically standing right now?
I really don't want to know the answer to that, Mort.
Help me to divide. Branch out. Expand. New apertures will open. You may use them.
How do I do that?
I think it means the Dabus. They're always fixing, repairing things.
I see.
The floating ones were upon me, repairing, preventing me from dividing. But I sense the floating one is no longer upon me. It no longer repairs, no longer interferes.
The Dabus back in the alley. Yes, I told them about the dead Dabus I found, and they left to seek it out.
Yes, the floating one no longer repairs. It is now with the other. I have closed myself around it. It remains inside me forever.
I see. Well, now that it is trapped, you can divide without interference, right?
Still cannot divide. Too weak. Cannot undo the floating one's repairs. Its changes must be reversed before I can divide. You must undo the floating one's repairs for me.
How can I reverse the repairs? I'm no carpenter.
Seek out the parts of me the floating one has changed. Reverse the changes. Undo the repairs. Must be exact. Precise. Only then can I divide.
Very well. I'll figure it out.
The clearing begins to rumble and groan, and the face recedes into the wall.
I don't know what you are or why I brought you here. This is Barmy?
Look, Anna, thank you for bringing me here. I don't know what this is, but if we can help, why not? You don't have to stay for this.
So that. I want to see what happens.
All right, let's go.
With the creaking growing about you, there's a sudden sense of urgency. If this place is about to divide or crumble, it would be unwise to remain in the middle of it. You rush up the steps and back up to the alley. Stones begin to shake about you. One dilapidated structure ahead seems on the verge of collapse. Its beams buck and bounce. You think the alley might be trying to communicate with you. Approaching the structure, you see several boards have recently been nailed into place to reinforce the sagging building. It appears as if the Dabus was in the process of repairing it. Several newer and sturdier boards have been nailed into place over the old ones. You take your crowbar and one by one pry loose the fresh boards from the face of the building. As the last board comes free, the building itself emits a loud groan as its weight shifts unsteadily upon its now unsupported frame.
Look, it's moving.
I think that did it. Over there.
You see another building attempt to shift. It almost distorts as you look upon it, the stones rising and falling as if caught in a loop of time. It looks as if it has stood for centuries, but is in the process of being torn down. A number of planks and boards are loose on the building's frame, their nails nearly pried all the way out.
We need a hammer, perhaps.
I see one in the rubble just there.
Dakon grabs the Davos's discarded mallet and pounds the nails back into place. As he does, you notice that, strangely enough, the building no longer appears quite as old as it did at first glance.
Is that enough?
I don't know.
The rumble settles for a moment. Then, a huge sigh of wind rushes through the buildings.
Let's ask.
I have reversed the repairs as you have asked. Was that enough?
The ground begins to shake, and clumps of dirt begin to churn beneath you.
Yes. All is in order. I am grateful.
Again, the wind begins to blow around you, now with fierce intensity. The omnipresent sounds of the alley begin to increase in volume until the voice is nearly drowned out by the ensuing racket.
Now you must go. Division begins. The way is now open to you.
Best do as it says. Farewell then.
The face melds back into the dirt as buildings shift and rubble begins to form.
Come on, this way.
You run forward as the wall ahead seems to melt away, exposing a narrow passageway. The ground underfoot suddenly begins to rock violently, and the soft sighing of the wind intensifies to an urgent, almost human moaning. You can hear the sounds of crashing stones and snapping boards all around you as you dash into the passageway and make for the streets beyond.
Thank you for listening to Planescape Torment, the unofficial audio series, a RevocerGM production. To support the show and those involved, please consider subscribing to our Patreon or donating via our Ko-fi page. Links to both are in the description.